if you're struggling not getting success, then this video is for you. Nowadays, there's one truth in life that nobody can change. Your success is in your hands. It is not in the hands of luck. The only person who has the power to decide your future is you. But the question is, do you believe in yourself? Today, we'll talk about it. My name is Muniba Mazari, and I'm a motivational speaker. If you find this video fruitful, then you can appreciate me by like and subscribe and start a new journey with me. Let's start the topic. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin today with a very simple yet powerful truth. Your time is your life, and how you spend it will ultimately define who you become. Time does not ask questions. It does not pause for our pain, and it certainly does not wait for our permission. It passes silently, constantly, and without mercy. And the way we choose to invest it becomes the most honest reflection of our values, our dreams, and our destiny. There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes more powerful than noise, when focus becomes more valuable than frenzy, and when purpose becomes the loudest voice in the room. That moment is not found in the future. It begins the very instant you realize that every yes you say without meaning is a quiet no. To your own growth, we live in a world addicted to urgency. Notifications, updates, calls, texts, emails, endless scrolling. They are all disguised as important, but in truth, they are thieves. Thieves of clarity, thieves of peace, and most dangerously, thieves of time. You see, not every opportunity is your opportunity. Not every voice deserves your attention. And not every invitation to engage is a road to progress. Sometimes saying no is not a rejection. It is a redirection, a beautiful, courageous step back toward what truly matters. We are taught from a young age to be agreeable, to be polite, to never offend. But no one teaches us how to protect our time. No one tells us that every choice we make is a transaction. You exchange a piece of your life every time you say yes. But the question is, what are you getting in return? Is it feeding your soul? Is it aligning with your vision? Is it making you better? Or are you simply busy performing, pleasing, exhausting yourself to keep up with a world that claps the loudest for those who are always available but rarely present? The hardest lesson I've had to learn, and I speak this with a heart that has known pain and purpose, is that productivity is not found in how much you do, but in how deeply you connect to what you do. There is a sacred strength in stillness. There is honor in boundaries. And there is wisdom in saying, this is not for me because I have something greater to give my time to. The moment you start protecting your time, you will feel resistance. People may not understand. Some may question your absence or misinterpret your silence. But growth demands solitude. Purpose requires prioritization, and fulfillment is not born from people pleasing. It is birthed in presence, in authenticity, and in intention. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things, things that elevate you, things that sharpen you, things that move you closer to the version of yourself you've been dreaming of becoming. Because that version, she is not built in chaos. She is not found in distraction. She is shaped in moments of quiet discipline and radical self-respect. So I invite you, I urge you, to audit your time, not with guilt, but with grace. Ask yourself daily, Is this task honoring my future? Is this habit serving my peace? Is this conversation adding light to my day? If the answer is no, then let it go. Let it go without apology, without regret. Because you are not just managing minutes, you are stewarding a life, and that is a responsibility too sacred to waste. The truth is, time is not something you lose. It's something you choose. Choose wisely. Choose intentionally. Choose in alignment with the person you were born to be. When was the last time you paused? Not because the world forced you to stop, but because your soul whispered. Check in with yourself. When was the last time you looked at the way you were spending your day and asked, is this helping me grow, or am I just going through the motions? We've all been there, caught in the cycle of waking up, rushing through responsibilities, responding to messages, attending meetings, finishing tasks, collapsing into bed, only to do it all over again the next day. But here's the hard truth: routine is not always progress. Just because something keeps you busy does not mean it's helping you become who you're meant to be. Growth is not found in the routine. It is found in reflection. There is a quiet kind of power that comes from living intentionally, not passively, not reactively, but consciously. And yet, most people avoid asking the hard question, is this helping me grow? Because they're afraid of the answer. Because deep down, they already know. They know that hours spent comparing themselves to strangers online is not growth. They know that staying in conversations that drain their energy is not growth. They know that delaying their dreams to avoid discomfort is not growth. But growth, real growth, always begins with radical honesty. It is uncomfortable, it is inconvenient, and it is always worth it. You have to be willing to examine your life like a garden. What is blooming? What is dying? What weeds have you allowed to grow wild because you were too distracted to notice? If you want your life to be filled with purpose, you must tend to it with purpose. You must water what matters and remove what does not. And this requires a sacred kind of awareness, the kind that comes only when you stop rushing and start reflecting. There's a difference between being alive and being awake. You can be alive and still sleepwalk through your days, following routines, answering to everyone else's needs, living on autopilot. But to be awake is to ask, is this helping me grow? Before every commitment, it is to choose depth over distraction, purpose over pressure, alignment over approval. It is to be so connected to your future that you refuse to waste your present. We often think growth will happen on some distant day. When we have more time, when we feel more confident, when life finally slows down. But growth does not wait for convenience. It begins the moment you decide that the version of you you're becoming is more important than the comfort you're clinging to. Even small moments, the 5 minutes you spend reading instead of scrolling, the 10 minutes you dedicate to journaling instead of complaining, the quiet hour you carve out for yourself when the world is loud, they matter. They matter more than we realize, because those moments are not just habits, they are bricks. And brick by brick, they build the foundation of a life rooted in purpose. It takes courage to ask if your current choices are contributing to your evolution. It takes even more courage to change your direction when the answer is no. But growth doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for awareness, for presence, for the humility to say, this no longer serves me, and the strength to pivot toward what does. So ask yourself, with all the love and honesty your heart can hold, as this moment, this action, this habit, this thought, helping me grow? And if it's not, have the courage to choose a better one. Because you are worthy of a life that evolves, a path that rises, and a time that is not just spent, but invested in the making of something beautiful. We live in a world that constantly measures success in numbers. How much you earn, how much you own, how fast you rise. But no one teaches us how to measure the value of a moment. No one reminds us that the true currency of life is not found in a bank account, but in the seconds slipping quietly through our fingers. Time is not money. It is far more precious than that, because money can be regained, recreated, reinvested. But time is final. Time is irreversible. Once it's spent, there is no refund, no negotiation, no second chance. This truth is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. Every breath you take is a silent gift, a moment entrusted to you. Not to be wasted in regret, not to be traded for things that don't matter, but to be honored like the rare treasure it is. And yet, how often do we spend our time on things that hold no meaning, on people who drain our spirit, on worries that never come true? How often do we allow urgency to replace importance? The world will try to convince you that money is everything. It will lure you into believing that the more you have, the more secure you are. But if that were true, the wealthiest would also be the most fulfilled, and we know that's not always the case. Because peace does not come from what you earn. It comes from how you live. It comes from knowing that your days are aligned with your purpose. It comes from choosing time over tension, connection over consumption, being over having. We've been taught to hustle, to grind, to push ourselves until we burn out, all for the sake of success. But success at the cost of time is not success at all. It is a trade-off that will never be worth it. Because when you lose time, you lose life. And when you begin to see time not as something to manage, but something to cherish, everything changes. You begin to say no to things that do not matter. You begin to protect your hours like you protect your peace. You stop counting tasks and you start creating meaning. Let me ask you something. What would you do differently if you knew this hour was the last one you had? Would you still argue over small things? Would you still postpone your dreams? Would you still wait for the right time to be kind, to love, to rest, to try? Or would you honor this moment like a sacred opportunity to live fully, not someday, but now? The clock is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It reflects what you choose to value. And if you are constantly exchanging your minutes for things that leave you empty, then it's time to re-evaluate the contract you've signed with your own life. Because the real wealth lies in experiences that shape your soul, not in conversations that leave you wiser, in memories that make you feel alive, There is no greater investment than in the present moment. No possession more valuable than undivided attention, and no gift more profound than time shared with intention. So I urge you not to be faster, not to be busier, but to be more present, to treat every day not as a task to complete, but as a canvas to paint with purpose. Because time, once gone, does not knock twice. And in the end, it's not what you've earned that defines you. It's what you've lived, loved, learned, and left behind in the hearts of others, moment by moment, hour by sacred hour. There's a common lie we tell ourselves. If only I had more time, I would do more, be more, create more. But the truth is, we don't need more time, we need more clarity. Time is not the issue. Focus is, purpose is, clarity is. Because when your vision is clear, even 5 minutes can spark transformation. But when you are lost in confusion, even 5 hours can pass like dust in the wind, scattered, directionless, forgotten. So many people walk through life not overwhelmed by the lack of hours in a day, but by the lack of alignment in their hearts. They wake up each morning with a heavy soul, not because life is too full, but because their days are filled with things that don't feed their spirit. They move from task to task, responding to life instead of creating it. And they wonder why they feel so tired, so scattered, so behind. But the problem is not the ticking clock. It's the fog in their minds. It's the absence of clarity. Clarity is power. It is the light that turns confusion into confidence. It is the quiet force that transforms simple actions into intentional progress. When you are clear about what matters, every decision becomes easier. You stop chasing everything and you start building something. You stop comparing yourself to others and you start walking your own path with grace and conviction. There is something profoundly liberating about waking up with clarity. You don't waste energy wondering where to start. You already know. You don't need to check 10 different opinions before you move. You already trust your direction. And that trust, that groundedness, it creates momentum. Not the kind that rushes or races, but the kind that builds slowly, steadily, beautifully, step by step, with peace in your heart and purpose in your stride. The truth is, confusion is costly. It steals your time without you realizing it. You overthink, you delay, you hesitate. You say yes to things that don't align because you're not sure what you really want. You stay in places that feel familiar, even if they no longer feel right, because you haven't yet asked yourself the most important question. What am I really here for? The clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from stillness, from courage, from being willing to sit with yourself and ask the hard questions. What do I value most? What does success mean to me? Not to the world, but to me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? And when those answers begin to take shape, even imperfectly, you'll find that your time starts to serve you, not drain you. You don't need a perfectly mapped out life to gain clarity. You just need honesty. You just need to strip away the distractions, the expectations, the comparisons, and return to the core of who you are. From that place, everything shifts. You begin to honor your time because you understand It's purpose. You stop letting others define your priorities because you've defined them yourself. You become intentional, not impulsive. Present, not just productive. Clarity is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Without it, you can have all the time in the world and still feel lost. But with it, even the smallest pocket of time becomes powerful. It becomes enough because you are no longer running in circles. You are moving forward, grounded in meaning, guided by vision. So no, you don't need more time. You need more clarity, because clarity, when embraced, doesn't just save your time, it multiplies it. It gives your minutes momentum. And that momentum, driven by purpose, is what will carry you from where you are to who you are destined to become. We live in a time where being busy has become a badge of honor. We measure our worth by how much we can cram into a calendar, how many meetings we attend, how many tasks we check off in a day. But in this glorification of hustle, we've forgotten something essential. Activity is not the same as achievement. Just because your schedule is full doesn't mean your soul is fulfilled. Just because you're in motion doesn't mean you're making progress. There's a kind of silence that hits you at night after the noise has faded and the world quiets down, when you ask yourself, but what did I really accomplish today? And sometimes, despite being constantly on the move, the answer feels hollow, because true achievement isn't found in the quantity of what you do. It's found in the quality of what you become. It's not how many things you've done that defines a meaningful life. It's whether the things you've done truly matter. We've been conditioned to equate business with success, but business can become a trap. It can become a distraction from the deeper work, the kind that doesn't show up on a to-do list. Healing is not a task. Growth doesn't come with a deadline. Loving yourself isn't an event you can schedule. These are the silent victories of the soul, the kind that don't get announced but change you forever. And yet, we keep running from one obligation to the next, from one commitment to another, constantly checking the clock, but rarely checking in with our own heart. It's no wonder so many people feel empty even when their lives look successful from the outside, because they've been busy fulfilling roles and expectations, but not fulfilling themselves. Don't let the world convince you that productivity is the only measure of worth. You are not a machine. You are not meant to simply perform. You are meant to feel, to grow, to breathe, to create. Your value is not found in how much you can do in a day. It's found in how deeply you can live within one. Ask yourself this: are you spending your time doing things that leave you energized, or things that leave you exhausted? Are you chasing validation through activity, or walking in alignment with your truth? Because the moment you start living by intention instead of obligation, you stop mistaking motion for meaning. There is nothing wrong with being busy. But busy for what? Busy building a life that reflects your soul, or busy avoiding the silence that might reveal what needs to change? There is a difference. One leads to peace, the other to burnout. One leaves you whole, the other leaves you questioning everything. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself, is what I'm doing today aligned with who I want to become tomorrow? If the answer is no, then the courage is not in continuing.